Arab CEO disguised himself as a pizza delivery man. Black cleaning lady saved his daughter from his fiancée. The pizza box almost slipped from Tariq Al-Mansour's hands when he heard the scream. It was a high-pitched, childish sound, cutting through the air of the marble mansion like shattering glass. His daughter. He would recognize that cry anywhere, even after 3 weeks of pretending to be someone else. He dropped the box on the back porch step and ran to the kitchen window. What he saw made his blood run cold. Yasmin, his 5-year-old daughter, was cowering in the corner of the black granite Italian kitchen, her little hands shielding her face. Above her, Victoria, his fiancée with perfectly coiffed blonde hair and an immaculate white dress, held a wooden spoon like a weapon. "You're a spoiled, useless child," Victoria spat the words. "Your father gives you everything, and you can't even sit still for 5 minutes?" "I just wanted water," Yasmin whimpered, her voice breaking. "Water?" Victoria laughed, a cold, metallic sound. "Do you think I'm your maid? That I'm here to serve you like your mother used to?" The mention of her deceased mother made Yasmin sob even louder. Victoria raised the spoon. Tariq took a step forward, almost forgetting his disguise. But before he could move, the pantry door opened. "Stop right now," said a firm voice. A black woman in her 30s, wearing a simple maid's uniform, crossed the kitchen in 3 quick steps. Her dark eyes flashed with a restrained anger that Tariq had never seen in anyone on the staff. "Excuse me?" Victoria turned, incredulous. "How dare you give me orders?" The woman, whose name Tariq still didn't know, didn't back down. "She's a child, ma'am. Just a child." "And you're just the cleaning lady," Victoria replied, her voice thick with venom. "Remember your place, or you'll be out on the street by tomorrow." The cleaning lady took a deep breath but didn't move. Her shoulders remained straight, defiant. "Then fire me. But I'm not going to stand here and watch you hurt a defenseless child." For a moment, time seemed to stand still. Victoria looked at the maid as if she had seen a ghost. No one had ever challenged her like that. No one dared. "Get out of my way," Victoria growled, finally lowering the spoon. "But this isn't over. I'm going to tell Mr. Al-Mansour about your insubordination." "Tell him," the cleaning lady said calmly. "I'm sure he'll be very interested to know what happens here when he's not around." Victoria paled for a split second before regaining her composure. "We'll see about that," she muttered, storming out of the kitchen. As soon as she was gone, the cleaning lady knelt down beside Yasmin. "It's okay now, sweetie," she whispered, drying the girl's tears with a clean dishcloth. "You're safe." Outside, still holding the forgotten pizza box, Tariq felt something break inside him. For 3 weeks he had been disguised as a pizza delivery man, living in a tiny apartment across town, growing out his beard and wearing worn-out clothes from a thrift store. 3 weeks since he had invented a business trip to Dubai, hired an assistant to answer his calls, and become a ghost in his own life. All because Yasmin had said something he couldn't forget: "Daddy, when you travel, the rules change." Now he knew what she meant. And he also knew the name of the only person brave enough to protect his daughter when he wasn't there. Grace Williams. The cleaning lady who had started working at the mansion just a month earlier. The only one who wasn't afraid of Victoria. What Tariq didn't know yet was that Grace also had a secret. A secret that explained why she had risked everything to protect a girl she barely knew. A secret that would change everything. He adjusted his red pizza delivery cap, took a deep breath, and rang the bell at the service entrance. It was time to deliver the pizza. And to find out exactly who Grace Williams was. If you're wondering why a multi-millionaire CEO would disguise himself as a pizza delivery guy in his own home, keep watching. This story will show you how far a father will go to protect those he loves. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because what happens next will leave you speechless. Grace opened the service door with the same cautious expression she had worn since entering the house. But when she saw the pizza delivery guy, something in her eyes changed. Just for a second. "Pizza for the Al-Mansour mansion," Tariq said with a thick accent, keeping his head down under his cap. "Come in through the kitchen," Grace replied, opening the door wider. "Miss Victoria is upstairs." As he entered, his eyes quickly scanned the room. Yasmin had disappeared, probably taken to her room. The kitchen still smelled of fear and tension. "Are you new at the pizzeria?" Grace asked as she took money from the drawer. "I started 3 weeks ago," Tariq lied easily. "Hard work, but honest." Grace nodded, studying him with an intensity that made him uncomfortable. "How long have you lived in the United States?" The question caught him off guard. 7 years, he improvised. "I came from Lebanon." "Funny," she said softly. "Because Mr. Al-Mansour, the owner of this house, is also from the Middle East. The United Arab Emirates, if I'm not mistaken." Tariq felt his heart race. "Lots of Arabs around here," he said vaguely, taking the money. Grace tilted her head. "Especially those who wear the same kind of Patek Philippe watch you forgot to take off your wrist." Tariq's blood ran cold. He looked down and saw the $200,000 watch gleaming beneath the worn sleeve of his delivery shirt. In 3 weeks of undercover work, this was his first mistake. His eyes met hers. For a long moment, neither of them moved. "How long have you known?" he finally asked, dropping his accent. "Since the second time you came to deliver pizza," Grace said. "Nobody looks at a house the way you did. Like you were searching for something. Or someone." Tariq closed his eyes. "Are you going to tell her?" "Depends." Grace crossed her arms. "Why is a man who owns 3 companies pretending to be a pizza delivery guy?" "For the same reason a cleaning lady risks her job to protect a child she barely knows," he replied. Grace's eyes sparkled, but she neither confirmed nor denied it. "Want to know what else is going on here?" Tariq nodded. "Then you need to see this." She led him through the pantry to a small service hallway he hadn't visited in months. There, in a broom closet, Grace pulled out an old tablet. "I install small cameras in the children's rooms," she explained. "Not in the bathrooms. I would never invade their privacy like that. But in the bedrooms, in the playroom. Places where Grace paused, correcting herself, where Miss Victoria spends time with Yasmin." "Why?" Tariq asked, though he already knew the answer. "Because I've seen this before," Grace said quietly. "In another house. Another family. And that time, I did nothing. The child ended up in the hospital with 3 broken ribs." Tariq felt nausea rise in his throat. "Show me." For the next 20 minutes, he watched videos that destroyed any illusions he still held. Victoria shoving Yasmin into the closet as punishment for spilling juice. Victoria yelling in the girl's face for not eating fast enough. Victoria taking the teddy bear, the only gift Yasmin still had from her deceased mother, and throwing it in the trash while the girl begged. In each video, Grace appeared. Sometimes just opening the closet door after Victoria left. Other times bringing hidden food. Always protective, always discreet. "Why did you do that?" Tariq asked, his voice hoarse with restrained emotion. "Why did you risk everything?" Grace turned off the tablet and looked him straight in the eye. "Because 5 years ago, a 7-year-old girl named Zoe begged me to help her. She said her stepmother beat her when her father was away. And I was afraid of losing my job, so I pretended not to see. 2 weeks later, Zoe fell down the stairs. At least that's what her stepmother said. And the truth? She was pushed," Grace said, tears finally escaping. "She survived, but she was never the same again. Since then, I've sworn I'll never stay silent again." Tariq reached out and, to his surprise, squeezed Grace's hand. "You saved my daughter." "I haven't saved her yet," Grace corrected. "Victoria is smart. She never leaves any marks. She never does anything that can be proven. It's her word against a cleaning lady's." "Then we need better evidence," Tariq said, his mind already working. "How many cameras do you have?" 3. "But the quality isn't good, and the battery only lasts a few hours." "I can get better ones," Tariq said. "Professional cameras, directional microphones. Everything we need to document every second." "She'll notice," Grace warned. "Not if you keep doing your job as usual. She underestimates you. All rich people underestimate their help." "And you?" Grace asked. "How will you continue your investigation?" Tariq smiled for the first time in weeks. "I'll need to order more pizzas." In the days that followed, Tariq established a routine. Every night at 7, he arrived with a delivery. Victoria never came down to greet the pizza delivery man. She considered it beneath her dignity. This gave him and Grace 15 precious minutes to exchange information. Grace revealed the times when Victoria was most cruel, early in the morning, before the other employees arrived, and at night, after they left. She revealed the methods of punishment: food deprivation, forced isolation, destruction of cherished objects. Tarek installed better cameras, hidden in smoke detectors and clocks. Every moment of cruelty was now recorded in high definition, with crystal-clear audio. But what neither of them expected was what Grace discovered one Tuesday afternoon while rummaging through Victoria's office. A life insurance policy. In Yasmin's name. With Victoria as the beneficiary. $2 million if anything happened to the girl. When Grace showed Tarek the document that night, their eyes met with grim understanding. "She's not just cruel," Grace whispered. "She's dangerous." The charity gala was scheduled for Saturday. Victoria had planned everything meticulously, 200 guests, press, photographers. The perfect night to present herself as a devoted future wife and loving stepmother. What she didn't know was that Tarek had also planned something. On the morning of the event, he arrived at the mansion earlier than usual, wearing his pizza delivery uniform. Grace was waiting for him at the service entrance, her face tense. "She's different today," Grace whispered. "More nervous." She made Yasmin try on the dress 3 times and yelled each time. Tarek clenched his fists. "Where are they now?" "In the master bedroom. Victoria is getting ready." She locked Yasmin in the closet as punishment for staining the dress. He climbed the service stairs, his heart pounding. Reaching the hallway, he heard Victoria's voice on the phone. "Yes, Mom, everything is going according to plan," she said. 6 more months and I'll have full access to his accounts." "The girl?" She paused deliberately. "Accidents happen with children. Especially stubborn ones." Tarek recorded every word on the cell phone hidden under his shirt. But it was what she said next that made him freeze. "His brother, Kareem, has already agreed to back my story if anything happens. He gets 20%. His own brother." Tarek felt the world spin. Kareem, who always complained about getting less in his father's inheritance. Kareem, who had unlimited access to the mansion. Kareem, who was helping Victoria destroy his family. A muffled cry came from the closet. "Yasmin." Victoria hung up the phone and threw open the door. "Still crying? Pathetic. At the gala, you will smile and call me Mom, understand?" "Never," Yasmin said, her voice small but firm. "You are not my mother." The slap echoed through the room. Tarek could no longer contain himself. He broke down the door, completely abandoning his disguise. "Get your hands off my daughter." Victoria spun around, her face turning pale at the sight of the man who was supposed to be thousands of miles away. "Tarek? How?" "I never went to Dubai," he said coldly. "I've been here all along. Watching. Recording. Learning exactly what kind of monster I brought into my home." "You were spying on me?" Victoria shouted, but there was fear in her eyes now. "Protecting my daughter," he corrected. "Something I should have done long ago." Victoria backed away, trying to regain control. "You have no proof of anything. It's my word against yours." "Wrong." Grace appeared in the doorway, holding a laptop. "I have 3 weeks of video of her abusing Yasmin. Plus today's recordings confessing to conspiracy with her brother." "You," Victoria looked at Grace with pure hatred. "I knew there was something wrong with you." Grace smiled coldly. "I should have trusted my instincts." It was then that Tarek noticed something in Grace's eyes. A familiarity he couldn't quite place. "Wait," he said slowly. "How did you know where to find the insurance policy? How did you know I suspected my brother?" Grace took a deep breath. "Because Nora was my sister." The world stopped. Nora. His late wife. Yasmin's mother. "Grace Williams was Grace Al-Khoury before she married," she continued. "Nora used her maiden name, Al-Khoury. I was raised by my father's family in the United States. When she died 2 years ago in that car accident, I didn't believe it was an accident. So I came to investigate." Tarek felt his legs go weak. "You lied to me." "To protect Yasmin," Grace said, tears in her eyes. "Because Nora made me promise, in her last phone call before she died, that I would take care of her daughter if anything happened to her. She knew Victoria was dangerous. She tried to warn you." Victoria laughed, hysterically now. "What a touching scene. But it doesn't change anything. You can't prove I killed Nora. But we can prove you planned to kill Yasmin," Tarek said. "And that my brother was helping you. That's enough." The door opened. 2 police officers entered, followed by a man in a suit. Daniel Hayes, Tarek's lawyer, smiled slightly. Miss Victoria Chen, you are under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder, fraud, and child abuse. Victoria tried to run, but Grace blocked the exit. In Grace's eyes, Tarek saw years of pain and anger finally finding justice. This is for my sister, Grace said softly as the handcuffs closed around Victoria's wrists. As they led Victoria away, Kareem arrived at the gala. His smile vanished when he saw the police. Brother, he began, but Tarek raised his hand. Don't call me that. Traitors are not family. The police arrested Kareem as well. The recordings clearly incriminated him. When they were finally alone, Tarek knelt beside Yasmin, whom Grace was holding in her lap. Daddy never left, he whispered. Daddy was here all along. I knew it, Yasmin said, touching his face. You smell the same. Even with that funny beard. Tarek laughed through his tears. How did you know? Because you taught me that true love always protects. And someone was protecting me. It could only be you. Grace handed Yasmin into Tarek's arms. I'm leaving now. My mission here is over. No, Yasmin grabbed Grace's hand. You promised Mom you'd take care of me. Promises don't end. Tarek looked at Grace, the woman who had risked everything, who had lied and infiltrated his life, but only to protect his daughter. She's right, he said. Family isn't just blood. It's who stays when everything falls apart. Grace cried openly now. I'm sorry I lied. You saved my daughter, Tarek said. That's all that matters. 6 months later, the Al Mansour mansion finally felt like home again. Victoria and Kareem's trial had been swift and devastating. The recordings, the documents, Grace's testimony, everything fit together perfectly. Victoria was sentenced to 15 years for conspiracy to commit murder and child abuse. Kareem received 10 years as an accomplice. But the biggest revelation came when investigators examined the car accident that killed Nora. New forensic tests, prompted by Grace's suspicions, revealed that the brakes had been tampered with. Victoria, who was working as Tarek's personal assistant at the time, had access to the car keys. She had planned everything 2 years ago, patiently waiting for her chance to marry a wealthy and vulnerable widower. Grace was instrumental in every step of the process. Her courage in infiltrating the house, risking everything to protect Yasmin, and finally exposing the truth about her sister's death made her more than a hero. It made her family. Tarek offered her a position as house manager, with a generous salary and complete autonomy. But Grace had other plans. I want to open a shelter, she said one sunny afternoon as they watched Yasmin play in the garden. For children who suffer abuse. A place where they feel safe, where someone believes them. Tarek smiled. Then let me be your first investor. 3 months later, the Nora Al-Khoury shelter opened its doors in Los Angeles. Grace ran the operation with the same determination she had shown in protecting Yasmin. Tarek financed everything, but insisted that the name be Nora's alone, not his. She deserves to be remembered, he said. Not me. Yasmin, now 6, visited the shelter every week with her father. She drew with the other children, shared her toys, and when she saw a frightened child, she held their hand. It'll be okay, she whispered. I know because I've been scared too. But there are good people out there. They'll protect you. One fall afternoon, Tarek found Grace in the shelter's office, looking at a framed photo of Nora. Do you think she would be proud? Grace asked softly. I know she would, Tarek replied. You honored your promise. You saved Yasmin. And now you're saving so many others. Grace smiled through her tears. I just wish she were here to see it. She is, Tarek said. Every time Yasmin laughs, every time a child in this shelter feels safe for the first time. Nora is here. That evening, during dinner at the mansion, Yasmin asked a question none of them expected. Dad, can Grace live here forever? Not as a maid. As family. Tarek and Grace exchanged glances. In the 6 months since the trial, something had changed between them. It wasn't romance, at least not yet. It was deep respect, gratitude, and a connection forged through trial and truth. Grace has always been family, Tarek said softly. She's your aunt. Your mother's sister. Yasmin smiled, that radiant smile that had disappeared for months under Victoria's terror. Then she has to stay. Because family doesn't abandon family. Grace knelt beside the girl. "I'll never abandon you, little one. I promise." "Like you promised, Mom?" "Just like I promised your mother." Months turned into years. Grace never fully moved into the mansion, keeping her own apartment to preserve her independence, but she had dinner there every night. Yasmin called her Aunt Grace and slept better knowing that someone who loved her mother was looking after her. Tarek learned to trust again. Not just other people, but his own instincts. He never ignored the signs again, never let work blind him to what really mattered. And every week, without fail, he visited Nora's grave. "I failed to protect her," he would say. "But your sister made sure I protected our daughter. Thank you for sending an angel when we needed her most." The following spring, on the 3rd anniversary of the Nora shelter, Grace gave a speech to the donors. "My sister taught me that courage is not the absence of fear," she said. "It is doing what is right despite fear. When I walked into that house 2 years ago, I was terrified. But a 5-year-old girl was more terrified. And I wouldn't, leave her alone." The audience applauded. Tarek, sitting in the front row with Yasmin on his lap, felt immense pride. After the event, as they walked through the shelter's garden, Yasmin asked, "Daddy, why did you dress up as a pizza delivery man?" Tarek thought carefully. "Because sometimes, to see the truth, we need to become invisible. People show who they really are when they think no one important is watching." And had Aunt Grace always been important? "Always," he confirmed. "Even when I didn't know who she was." Yasmin nodded wisely. Mom chose well. She knew Aunt Grace would save everything. That night, after Yasmin fell asleep, Tarek found Grace in the garden, sitting under the stars. "Have you ever regretted it?" he asked. "Lying, risking everything?" "Never," Grace replied without hesitation. "Nora made me promise I would take care of Yasmin. And promises between sisters are sacred." He sat down beside her. "Thank you. For everything." She smiled. "Thank you. For letting a stranger into your home. For trusting me in the end." "You were never a stranger," Tarek said. "You were always family. I just didn't know it yet." Years later, when Yasmin graduated from high school, her graduation speech was about courage, truth, and the power of a promise kept. She told her story, without names, but with every emotional detail intact. "Someone saved me," she said. "And in saving me, they taught me that the best revenge against cruelty is not more cruelty. It's love. It's protection. It's using our pain to make sure others don't suffer the same." In the audience, Tarek and Grace cried tears of pride. The story of a CEO who disguised himself as a pizza delivery man seems impossible. But sometimes truth is stranger than fiction. And sometimes, all it takes to save a life is one person brave enough to stay when everyone else runs away. If this story touched you, subscribe to the channel. Because stories of courage, justice, and true love deserve to be shared. Because someone watching now may be the Grace in some child's life. And that child is waiting for you to be brave.